how does Brian David Gilbert not have 1 million subscribers yet? He's probably most famous for his multi-year stint at Polygon, during which I guess he was giving them subscribers and wasn't using his own channel, but it's still remarkable to me. He's one of the most talented, weird, funny creators on the platform, and his videos go viral as often as not. Anyway, there's a part of his most recent video, 38 dance moves to try at the club, that I want to talk about. But before I do, go watch it if you haven't, please. It's 1 minute and 39 seconds long. I promise it's funny. If you don't like it, you don't even have to come back. Honestly, even if you do like it, but you don't come back, then just for passing along the recommendation, I feel like this video has done 90% of its job. Please come back when you're done. Okay, back. There's not necessarily a lot of text to unpack here, and I'm not interested in dissecting jokes until they're lying dead on the examination table. So I'm just going to hone in on one aspect of the editing that I love and that feels unique to how YouTube videos work in relationship to their audience. The titular dance moves each get named during the video. As you might expect, 38 titles in a less than 2-minute video is a lot of text. You would probably expect this even before you see that some of the titles are 12 words long, 14 words long, and in one case, too long to count and certainly too long to fit on the screen all at once. But even for the shorter titles, this video flies past its captions, and it's almost impossible to be watching the weird stuff Brian's doing with his body in that outfit, while also catching all of the jokes tucked into the captions. But, and here's the unique to YouTube part, at least to my eye, that's totally fine. This video expects a variety of user reactions, all of which can still end with laughing at the video. 1. You're a super attentive viewer who catches every visual joke and parses every line of text the first time through, spending only 90 seconds on the 90-second video and mining every ounce of potential entertainment in that run. While watching, you laugh heartily, I guess, probably with a deserved air of superiority. Or, you're a regular viewer who watches the video once through and misses most of the caption-based jokes. You're still watching either the dance moves themselves or the text at any given time, and since there are jokes in both of them that work without even needing their counterpart, you're still likely to laugh throughout the runtime. Or, you watch the video once and love it so much that you watch it again, and now you pick up just as many new jokes as you saw the first time, because now you're watching the parts you didn't look at last time. You laugh a lot, twice. It's like you watched 2 wholly different 90-second YouTube goofs. Or, you watch the video with a finger on your spacebar and or your mouse, freeze framing the captions as they roll by, so you can digest each line of text and grasp all the layers of the onion before you move on. You're slower going than our first contestant. Maybe you lose some of the video's manic energy by stopping the club banger in the background every few seconds, but you get to mine just as much out of the experience by its end as the most attentive first-time viewer. I'm more or less the last person in that list, and that's largely because I'm used to text-based jokes whipping by me fast enough to force me to pause and back up. This is actually a common staple of YouTube, whether you're talking about BDG's variety of content, a more traditional video essay, or really just about anything scripted or semi-scripted on the platform, anywhere where a text overlay wouldn't be totally out of place. It's worth taking a moment to compare that to equivalents in other mediums to understand why I think it's unique. You could start with the quote-unquote subliminal graphical inserts in Fight Club, which explicitly appear just long enough to register, but not long enough to properly process. But though you could pause and screen cap your DVD copy of the movie on these frames, I don't think this is the intended experience. In no small part because this concept is discussed within the movie as being something done to film reels to trick or traumatize children who are passively watching family-friendly entertainment in a theater. So maybe a closer parallel to how most YouTube videos deploy these text overlays is the parenthetical footnote or endnote or citation, depending on what you're reading, in a piece of writing. These footnotes, particularly in fiction or for wittier nonfiction authors, can be not just bibliographies, but places to tuck in extra jokes, illuminating asides, or other weirdness. And by their placement out of the way of the mainline text, they invite wandering eyes to search for deeper layers beyond the intended flow of the piece's paragraphs. David Foster Wallace is the example of this for fiction writers. His most notorious book, Infinite Jest, has nearly 400 endnotes all told, with a few endnotes nested inside other endnotes just for good measure. Side note, I cannot imagine trying to read Infinite Jest on a Kindle. He also has a reputation as a difficult author to read, with these constant digressions being a big part of the reason why. And I think this makes sense. Footnotes or endnotes or citations are visually distracting on a printed page. Even if they're not printed in full on the page you're reading now, the placement of citation numbers alone inside the text can sometimes come mid-paragraph or even mid-sentence, forcing, or at least trying to force, you to break your flow once to find the footnote and again to re-find your place in the text proper. Even if you don't want to read the footnotes, they're going to clutter every page you flip through, the tiny text mocking your unwillingness to dig deeper. Now, maybe I'm projecting here. I personally have a love-hate relationship with footnotes in anything I read for exactly this reason. I feel anxiety and guilt about missing them and lose my space in the text constantly trying to follow them. Writers tend to tuck some of their best jokes and their most illuminating but not necessarily germane factoids into these miniature blocks of text. So I turn into a hoarder playing a JRPG, slowing the plot to a crawl as I compulsively open every single treasure chest. By contrast, I don't think YouTube text makes a video harder to deal with. There's no flitting from one video into a sub-video and back, all the while trying to track your place. The audio-visual cinema box quality of the medium means that all these layers are present for you all at once. Your job then isn't to hunt and scan, but to digest, and only to the degree you feel like it. This works because YouTube is a platform that expects you to be watching on a computer or maybe a mobile device, with the ability and desire to fine-tune your viewing experience far more than with older, passive audiovisual media. It's not quite interactive. YouTube is not a video game, that's not what I'm saying, but at the same time, it's more than passive. I'm not even getting into video games here, but there's probably some useful analogizing you can make between this kind of YouTube play and a generation who grew up with it alongside a mainstream ubiquity of video games. On YouTube, you can rewatch or even snip out favorite clips and jokes. You can adjust viewing speed altogether to make sure you're understanding every word. You can favorite, subscribe, comment. Please do those things here now, by the way. Now, if I wanted to get deep and turn a 10-minute video into a 30-minute video, I could wonder out loud whether that less passive nature is part of what kicks off the feedback loops that lead to YouTubers having parasocial relationship problems. But others have done that story more justice than I probably can, and they tend to have a lot more skin in the game. So regardless, I think this is a fascinating and endemic quality of watching videos made on and for the internet. They're expecting you to participate in the fun. It's just part of the experience.